Imagine becoming the richest man in your country, building a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars, being admired by entrepreneurs around the world, and then one speech changes everything. Your biggest business deal is suddenly cancelled. Government regulators start investigating your companies. Your wealth begins to disappear, and then you vanish from public view. This is not a movie. This is the real story of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, and how one of the world's most powerful businessmen found himself in a confrontation with one of the world's most powerful governments. But what exactly happened? And did Jack Ma really challenge China? Let's find out. Before he became a billionaire, Jack Ma was just an ordinary man from Quanzhou, China. He wasn't born rich. He wasn't a tech genius. In fact, he repeatedly failed. He failed school entrance exams. He was rejected from dozens of jobs. Even KFC reportedly rejected him while hiring others. Most people would have given up, but Jack Ma didn't. In the 1990s, while the internet was still new, he saw something most people couldn't: opportunity. He believed the internet would transform business forever. In 1999, from a small apartment with a group of friends, he launched Alibaba. At first, nobody took it seriously, but Jack Ma had a vision. He wanted to connect Chinese business with the world, and slowly Alibaba began to grow. Then it exploded. Millions of merchants joined. Millions of customers arrived. The company became an e-commerce giant, and Jack Ma became a global business icon. By the late 2010, Alibaba was one of the most valuable companies on earth. Jack Ma wasn't just a businessman anymore. He was a celebrity, a symbol of China economic success. But behind the scenes, something bigger was happening. While Alibaba dominated online shopping, another company was quietly becoming even more powerful. That is Ant Group. Most people outside China had never heard of it, but inside China, Ant Group was everywhere. Its payment platform, that is Alipay, was used by hundreds of millions of people, buying food, paying bills, sending money, and shopping online. Ant Group became one of the largest financial technology companies in the world, and investors were excited, very excited. In 2020, Ant Group announced something historic. It planned to go public. The IPO was expected to rise around $37 billion, the largest IPO in human history. Think about that. Not the largest IPO in China, not the largest IPO of the decade, the largest IPO ever. Jack Ma seemed unstoppable. The future looked brighter than ever. Then came one speech, a speech that changed everything. In October 2020, in Shanghai, business leaders, government officials, financial experts are there. Jack Ma walks onto the stage. At first, nobody expects controversy, but then he starts criticizing Chinese financial system. He argues that traditional banks are outdated. He says regulations are holding innovation back, and he suggests the financial industry needs major reform. To many people watching, it sounded like a businessman sharing his opinion. But in China, criticism of powerful institutions can be very sensitive, especially when it comes from one of the country's most famous billionaire. The speech quickly attracted attention, and not the kind of attention Jack Ma wanted. Within weeks, Chinese regulators called in Ant Group executives. Questions were being asked, reviews are being conducted, pressure was building. Then came the shock. Only days before Ant Group's massive IPO launch, authorities pulled the brakes. The IPO was suspended. Just like that, the biggest IPO in history was gone. Investors were stunned. Markets were shocked. The world wanted answers. What happened next surprised everyone. Regulators didn't shop with Ant Group. They turned their attention towards Alibaba itself. Investigation began, new regulations appeared, antitrust concerns were raised. Alibaba eventually received a massive fine. Meanwhile, Ant Group was ordered to restructure its business. The message was becoming clear. China's government wanted tighter control over the country's rapidly growing technology sector, and Alibaba was one of its biggest targets. Investor began selling, confidence dropped, Alibaba stock price fell dramatically. Billions of dollars in market value disappeared. For years, Alibaba had looked unstoppable. Now, uncertainty surrounded the company. But the biggest mystery was still ahead. Where was Jack Ma? As the controversy intensified, Jack Ma suddenly became very quiet. Public appearance stopped. Media appearance became rare. For months, people around the world asked the same question: where is Jack Ma? Rumors spread across the internet. Speculation exploded. Some claimed he had disappeared. Others claimed he was hiding. Nobody seemed to know for sure. The mystery only made the story bigger. The world's most famous entrepreneur had seemingly vanished from the spotlight. Eventually, Jack Ma reappeared, but something had changed. The energetic billionaire who once dominated headlines was now far less visible. The era of Jack Ma as Chinese most outspoken business celebrity appeared to be over. Many people think this story is about Jack Ma versus China, but the reality is more complex. This wasn't simply a battle between one man and one government. It was a moment that revealed something important. No matter how successful a company becomes, no matter how wealthy its founder becomes, in China, the government remains the ultimate authority. The crackdown wasn't only about Jack Ma, it was part of the broader effort to regulate powerful technology companies and reduce financial risk. Whether you agree with those actions or not, the message was impossible to ignore. Even the richest entrepreneur in China had limits. Today, Alibaba still exists. Jack Ma still remains one of the most influential entrepreneurs of his generation. But the story serves as a reminder that power comes in many forms: business power, financial power, and political power. And when these power collide, the consequences can reshape entire industries. The speech lasted only a few minutes, but its impact changed the future of one of the world's largest companies, and perhaps the future of Chinese technology itself.